So welcome back to the channel. Talking about football as usual. In today's video, we've got numerous things to kind of go over and talk about. First of all, I'm just going to talk about Arsenal because I said it in last video. They're going to show their soft underbelly again, their lack of aggression. Yes, they are an amazing side, and I say it again and again and again, but they do not have that, vindictive, aggressive, characteristic about them as a team. To, when they go 1-0 down, when Kimmich scored the goal, it was done. It was wrapped. They didn't have the heart, the passion in them to go and chase the win like they did in the first leg where they went behind it, they went nah and came back to level it. The game was just so lackluster in ability. Saka went ghost mode again. Half the squad went ghost mode actually. The defence is not so much the defence that even though they conceded, it's not the defence I have an issue with, it's the attack. Because there was a moment in the game where the ball was kind of bouncing in the box and no one touched it. There was, I think it was Havertz and then Saka on the right just kind of coming in and no one touched the ball. They just let him roll past them. They've been so good this season throughout from start to finish, consistent performances. I know they got knocked out of the cup, but that was to Liverpool. That's fair enough. But in the league, they've been pushing City the same as they did last season. But it just comes towards the last 7-8 games of the season where they just lose their heads. I can't tell if that's a managerial error, because it's not like they've been flooded with injuries in the latter stage of the season. They've still got their main team. They've still got all their big players. I know they've had injuries, like Jurriën Timber has been injured since the start. Thomas Partey has been in and out, mainly out. But they've had the same team, so it's not like we can go, oh well, they've had injury issues. Like we go Newcastle, they've had a blunder this season. Let's put it down to injuries. They've had a crisis. Liverpool have had a crisis, so you can kind of pinpoint some kind of failure on injuries. Not all of it though. And Arsenal, they've had none. They've had Saka fit the entire season. They've had Martinelli fit the majority of the season. But they've got backups. They've got Trossard and Nketiah, Jesus, Havertz playing across that front line, and they've all been fit for the majority of the season. Odegaard's been fit for pretty much the entire season. I don't think he might have missed a few games here and there, but overall he's been there. I've seen Fabio Vieira play a little bit, but not enough for it to kind of hint at they might fumble it. But yeah, they fumbled it. But they went to the Allianz Arena, which I know is a difficult game, a difficult place to go to and win, because that's where they have such a home base. They're a force at home and away, obviously, but mainly at home. And Arsenal just couldn't break them. They just couldn't break them. Even if they tried, even if the game was 250 minutes long, they would not have scored. Because that was their mentality that night when they walked out of those tunnels. They put 8 shots forward, created one big chance in 90 minutes. That is poor when you're talking about a Champions League, quarter-finalist, to put one big chance created in the 90 minutes. It's poor. It's poor. And if you look at the polar opposite side, which we'll talk about later with Man City, where they obviously do high numbers, but I'll get to that later. It's just you expect a bit more, don't you? When you think, when you think Arsenal, you don't really think European football. They've been out of it for 7-8 years. You don't really pinpoint Arsenal with Champions League football. But when you have a team who have over the last 5 years they've been rebuilding. Everyone's like, Arteta's gonna just give him time, he'll get there. He's just building. How long is it gonna take? How long is he gonna be building for? Like, how long are we gonna give Arteta room just because he's not winning anything? I know he might have won a cup in his first season, like the FA Cup, but he's not winning anything. He's supposedly, a very good manager. Yes, he is very good, tactically, with his ways of management, because he has learnt from Pep, and Pep learnt from Cruyff. So you can't really backhand him for that. But it's just, he's not that good. It will catch up on him, and I don't think Arsenal are going to win a trophy with Arteta. Because it's not the players. I know the players don't have the aggression, but maybe that's because they're being trained to do otherwise. Maybe they've been trained to fall back a little bit when they go a goal down. Make it so it's not 3 instead of fighting and going and grabbing a point if it's in a league, or obviously a goal may send it to extra time in a cup game. Maybe it's like that. Anyway, that's enough about that. It's disappointing it's disappointing because you just want when you see a team that's rebuilding. They spent the last 5 years, they've had transfers, they sold people, they've been building this whole we're a team full of young people, prospects. We're going to carry on, we're going to build this team together, gel them all in over the next 5-6 year period. They're going to go on and win something. They're going to have that momentum, confidence to go and do something good. They're aging pretty quickly. Nketiah is 25. Havertz they're all I know they're in the mid-20s. Even Saka is aging. I know he's 22, but just considering he's been in the game for since he was 17, he's aging. He's starting to disappear a lot. In games, you just don't see him. That's why he's not world class, because he keeps on disappearing. Anyway, then we got Man City. Man City against Real Madrid. It was a 1-1 game, extra time, penalties, lovely. But when it gets to, they were thumping them, but no result. They had 33 shots at that goal, but they just weren't putting it in. I know Pep's a good manager, and we talk about management and how they kind of set up a team. He has this idea of control the ball, and yes, it works 10 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10 against the bad teams, the lower league teams. If you control the ball, a player is going to come out of pocket at some point, and you'll have the space to ping a ball through. The space will open up itself in most circumstances. When you're playing Luton, Palace, Sheffield United, the spaces will open up for themselves. But when you're playing Real Madrid, they're competent defensively enough where the space isn't going to open up themselves. Passing it around isn't going to get you anywhere. And you saw that they were having shots, they were passing it around. But because when Man City come against a defensively sound team, they struggle putting that ball in the net. We say that, I know it was 3-3 in the first game, but that was just a dreamland match. Doesn't usually happen. They just keep pumping them in, and because Pep Guardiola has this whole pass around control, control the momentum. If you control the momentum, then the game is in your hands, right? But then he's just leaving all these players with an exceptional talent not having the freedom that they need to kind of grab a game by the balls and go win. I know Foden's been doing it a lot this season, but I don't think he still has that freedom, because we all know how good he is. We all know how exceptional Phil Foden is as a player. But he's just not like Grealish. When they signed him from Aston Villa, he was, he had the most take-ons, he was the most fouled person, most successful dribbles per 90 in, the seasons coming up to when he moved to Man City. He moved to Man City and he just became one of the robots in his system. Yeah, you see it happen all the time where, like, when players make that big money move to a team with the tactics that don't exactly match their ability, and then they've got to kind of adjust themselves to keep themselves in the team. Like, I know Grealish has been injured this season, but he's become a robot. He's not taking on players, he's not being aggressive, he's not being a knob. Even his little tricks, he's not, weaving in and out. He's, it will happen the same to Doku. Doku will eventually start becoming just a passer. Pass it back, maybe run a few channels here and there, pass it back, run the line, pass back, keep the ball, don't take a risk that's going to lead you to possibly conceding a goal. And that's why I don't like the way Pep kind of constructs a team. Like, I don't like the way he manages. Don't get me wrong, the way he manages is unreal 90% of the time. Do I like it? No. Do I like the whole fanny about with the ball just to keep it? No. I like watching entertaining football. I like watching, people take risks. People dribble. I like watching take-ons. If you can take on a player, like, I'd even, like, we've referred to Ronaldo, the way he used to take on a player. Like, Sir Alex Ferguson gave him the freedom to do what he does, and it worked out for him. So I don't get why Pep doesn't just go, all right, here's the structure, here's, the game plan, here's what we're going to do. But if you see an opening to go, oh, do you know what, I'll take this one on myself. I feel like, we're in a defensively sound place where if I lose the ball, there's a player behind me just in case, and there's a player behind him. So, like, say if Foden wanted to go, all right, let's have this one, I'm feeling comfortable, let's go, does all the in and out, loses the ball, and then you've got Rodri behind him, you've got Kyle Walker and, Diaz as a flat line behind that. It just allows more freedom, it allows more creativity. And that's what I like about football, just creativity. But anyway, both England are probably all of them. I think apart from Aston Villa, I think every English team will be out of European football by this week. Which is, it's one of those, like, bonkers. I know it's all due to, luck of the draw, who you come up against in the quarters or round 16, whatever cup you're running for. But all of them are going to be out. West Ham are losing to Leverkusen. Liverpool aren't going to overturn a 3-0 defeat to Atalanta. I hope they do, but they won't, because they're not the same team that did it against Barca. Obviously, Man City and Arsenal are both out. What's going on? Brighton are out, lost to Roma. It's a shit show for, English teams in European football this season, and I hope to God that Dortmund win it. So I said at the start, so it's like a passing comment. I want Dortmund to win, and I watched the game where they beat Atletico. Oh, what a game it was as well! What a game it was! Really got me off my seat. It's it's only because I have a little thing with Donyell Marlin. I think it's because when we used to play FIFA, with my mates and that, it's just always like, scream Donyell Marlin, scream his name when he scored, get him in the Ultimate Team, he does a job, get him in there. So yeah, but now we're all out, all English teams are out, and that's why, because when England come against the big European teams, we just don't know how to handle it. I say we, like the likes, you know, because we come against world class teams that aren't just, you know, poor Burnley side or Sheffield United. It's a nightmare. Like, Atalanta aren't amazing, but they've thumped us. Because we were expecting a walk in the park then, and they thumped us 3-0. Skamaka with 2, and they just ran rings around us. Same with Leverkusen. Obviously, they scored 2 goals in like the last 15 minutes of that game. Aston Villa got a scrape win against, you know, Lille, I think. And they played, it's the second leg tonight, which I will be watching, and I'll try and, you know, dabble between all the different games, try and see what's happening. Just got love for the sport, innit? I don't think West Ham can overturn it. I don't think Leverkusen are going to take the foot off the gas, because they've got a record in sight that would be amazing if they do it. If they do a treble without losing a single game, I think that'd be one of the greatest achievements ever. But I'll talk about that in a different video, going into all the underlying statistics about Leverkusen's season, and see if they can do it. Can they do it? Can they win the Europa League, the German Cup, and obviously they've won the league title now, all unbeaten. I want them to, obviously. It's just a matter of whether, you know, West Ham might win 1-0, and then Leverkusen still win the Europa League but not unbeaten. We'll see. Anyway, this has been me talking about goals, transfers, opinions and debates over at the Daily GTOD page for you. Anyway, have a good one. Stay safe.